It was long past midnight, and the streets outside were silent, wrapped in a heavy stillness, when my phone buzzed insistently. Blinking away the fatigue, I saw a message that made my chest tighten. It wasn't from my husband's phone as I expected. It came from his colleague. The text was short, unapologetic. Asterisk, she's with me now. Don't wait. Asterisk, my stomach dropped. I had feared something like this, but seeing it laid bare in cold, unyielding words sent a shock through me. I forced a calm over myself that wasn't natural. It was a mask, a calculated armor. I couldn't let anger take the wheel. Impulse would only give them power. Instead, I typed a reply that felt like ice sliding over fire. Asterisk, keep her. We're done. Asterisk, my fingers shook slightly, but the words carried a strange liberation. This wasn't about revenge yet. It was about regaining control, quietly, before they even realized the storm was coming. Time stretched painfully. My heart thumped as I imagined my husband's smug grin, certain of his victory, and her colleague's self-assured smirk. 30 minutes passed like hours, and then came a knock at the door. I opened it cautiously. There they stood, him tall and radiating overconfidence, as if he owned the night, and her, my spouse, her face pale, eyes wide with unease. The arrogance I expected from her had dissolved, replaced by a tension I hadn't anticipated. I said nothing, letting the silence press down on them. The weight of their choices began to settle, and for the first time, I felt a flicker of satisfaction. Their thrill was about to collide with consequences. I invited them in casually, as if the night were ordinary. He followed, still projecting confidence, though it wavered slightly. She trailed behind, guilt heavy in every step. The room hummed with tension. I moved about calmly, pouring coffee, keeping my tone neutral and pleasant. Each movement was deliberate. The colleague likely thought he had cornered me emotionally, but I was in command. I watched them closely. Every shift in his posture, every flicker in her expression was a clue. He squirmed in his seat, realizing his triumph wasn't complete. Her lips quivered as she avoided my gaze, searching desperately for an excuse, some thread of justification. I offered none. Silence worked far better than words. It amplified guilt, and they were drowning in it. Then I picked up my phone, pretending to glance at a message. By the way, I already informed HR about late-night office messages, I said casually. Their eyes widened. He tried a laugh that didn't reach his eyes. She gasped, understanding that I had more evidence than she had imagined. I didn't need to say another word. The implication alone was devastating. Confidence faltered. Fear deepened. I stood and leaned against the window, letting the silence stretch. He tried to assert dominance with a weak smirk, but it cracked under scrutiny. Her hands trembled as she tried to compose herself. Then I spoke softly, deliberately. Asterisk, I hope you both enjoy the consequences of your choices. Some lessons are best learned personally. Asterisk. His smirk vanished completely. She gasped silently, realizing she had miscalculated entirely. I didn't need to shout or cry. The inevitability of what was coming was more powerful than anger ever could be. I told her to pack her things. Her eyes widened, and she stumbled over her words. I ignored her protests and looked at him. He struggled to maintain composure, but panic was seeping in. Everything they had relied on, their arrogance, their sense of invincibility, was crumbling. 30 minutes of patience and careful strategy had achieved what months of confrontation never could. The house, once heavy with quiet tension, now buzzed with the anticipation of exposure. The colleague realized he had misjudged me. She understood that manipulation had failed completely. I handed her a packed bag, telling her she would stay elsewhere for the night. His eyes widened further. He couldn't control the outcome. I remained composed, smiling faintly, letting the moment sink in. My spouse tried to speak, to defend herself, but I didn't engage. The colleague opened his mouth, then stopped, understanding he had lost entirely. The dynamic had shifted. For the first time in weeks, I felt the satisfaction of executing justice without losing control. By the end of the night, both of them left, defeated. I stayed alone, calm and collected. Their arrogance shattered. My composure had been my weapon, patience my shield. Justice had been served not with confrontation, but with strategy, timing, and the quiet power of restraint. The storm had passed, and I had emerged victorious, in control and liberated. The night was silent again, but this time it felt like freedom. I realized that true strength lies not in fury, but in calculated actions. People reveal themselves through their mistakes, and the calm observer remains untouchable.